This week on the TT show, we've got more Grand Theft Auto 6 news. Nintendo Switch 2 is coming very soon. Microsoft is ending support for its most popular operating system. PlayStation 5 specs emerge. We take a look at all the cool stuff from the Game Awards. And the government has been busted spying on everyone. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the TT show. My name is Jack Connor. I'm a hardware editor over at Tweaktown, and I'm joined by my co-host today,
Kosta Andriades, gaming hardware editor at Tweaktown.
How are you going, mate?
Pretty good. How many times have you watched the GTA 6 trailer since we spoke about it last week?
I think I've watched it 2 more times. I think I showed 2 of my mates, and then we kind of did like a bit of a breakdown, or at least I did, on the trailer, similar to how we did last week on the podcast. Yeah, how many times have you watched it since then?
Oh, at least a dozen. But like, I mean, that dropped in so hot, like an hour before we started recording, which was nuts.
Yeah.
And then, like when you shared it, it had 100,000 views, right?
Yeah.
Which is pretty small, I guess, compared to where it's now. Now it's at like well over 100 and something million, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It has 142 million posted 7 days ago.
Yeah.
142 million. I suppose that leads us straight into one of the top stories, is how quickly the GTA 6 trailer broke records across YouTube.
Yeah.
That is some of the most it's almost as impressive as the trailer itself if you're into data and like records being broken across social platforms. As always, before we get into any of the news stories, please go like, comment, and subscribe, and check out the description below for any of the news that we talk about in this week's episode. So, Guinness World Records announced that the GTA 6 trailer broke the YouTube views in a 24-hour period, gaining wait, hold on, I just want to make sure this is right. Explaining that the extremely popular trailer, which at the time of writing has gained more than 105 million views, has already become the most liked video game trailer on YouTube, with 8.9 million likes over a 24-hour period. Now, that wasn't the only record it broke. Mm-hmm. The GTA 6 trailer took the crown from Mr. Beast, who had the previous record was set by this is his YouTube video. Every country on Earth fights for $250,000, which reached 59.4 million views in 24 hours. And Rockstar's sequel, GTA 6, landed a whopping 90,421,491 views in 24 hours. It destroyed Mr. Beast.
Like, what makes it crazy is that, like, we're talking about a game trailer here, right?
Yeah.
So, like, like, it trumps, like, everything. Like, I mean, I think it's almost like proof that, like, games have superseded movies in terms of popularity. Let's say, like, there's going to be, like a new Lord of the Rings movie or something, or, like, some huge franchise, and they're going to drop a new movie and then the trailer releases, or like a new Star Wars or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not going to get anywhere near as many views as this, I don't think.
No, this is a cultural event. This is...
Yeah,
it's
and
almost...
also it's time. Yeah.
Yeah, that is...
It's like a decade plus since GTA 5, and you got that game has been in the top 10 sellers list for over a decade. It's sold 200 million copies. It's the biggest, it just validates GTA as like this juggernaut, but also, I guess, across all media, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree 100% with you on that. It's almost like at the peak of Marvel, because Marvel's taken a bit of a downhill now. This is what it kind of like feels like. It in the same level of like excitement around Infinity War Endgame. That's where like everyone's on the edge of their seat waiting to get to the cinema to see the next movie. But instead of there being one every year and then it's slowly going down to the point where people are upset about it, Rockstar released one every 10 years and the new one gets 90 million views in 24 hours.
let's just say Marvel and Disney or whoever teased like saying, hey, new Avengers movie, they've been secretly working on it, trailer drops next week at this time. Like even that wouldn't get as many views as this.
Yeah, no, I agree. Again, it is yeah, it is. It's like I said, a cultural event. This has become. It's the biggest game. It's the most anticipated game of all time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And when we spoke about it last week, like it just dropped. Like there was no information apart from like 2025 release window and what we saw in the trailer. Obviously, since that time, there's been a bunch of analysis and breakdowns and things like that. But it's proven that the trailer is captured in game or in engine, and it's Rockstar's latest tech. And we speculated last week that it's probably not going to come to PC. Although we hope it does because traditionally Rockstar games haven't. I mean, that's to say they haven't come to PC at launch. Like they usually come to consoles first, and then a year or so later, or 18 months, whatever it is, then they come to PC. So it was only like a couple of hours after the trailer dropped, which was after we recorded last week's episode, that the press release came out. And the press release basically confirmed that it's not coming to PC at launch. It's just, Grand Theft Auto, this is the quote from the press release, is that Rockstar Games is proud to announce that Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming to PlayStation 5 computer entertainment systems and Xbox Series X and S games and entertainment systems in 2025.
Yeah.
That's a pretty like blanket, press release data, like a very cold and calculated sentence. It doesn't really say anything other than this is our game and it's coming out to these systems in 2025.
Yeah.
Which sucks because like we're talking about like how much of a cultural event this is, right? Like it would be great to have it on PC on day one for Rockstar to commit or to try and get it across on all platforms because obviously. I mean, the cynic out there would say that, hey, it's the double dip thing. Like, everybody bought GTA 5 on Xbox 360 and PS3. And then when it came out on Xbox One and PS4 a couple of years later, when they remastered it, like everyone bought it again. And then when it came out on PC, everybody bought it again. And to an extent, that's true. Like, I bought it on 360 and then got it again on PC, a few years later. And but it's not a case of them simply just trying to make more money. There was a update from a developer about specifically bringing the game to PC and like a Rockstar dev explaining why it takes so long for it to be like a year after it comes out on consoles. And the reasoning is exactly what you think it is. It's basically you're focusing on the PlayStation and the Xbox, these two huge platforms that are, the hardware's set in stone, so you're optimizing.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why the game looks as good as it does in the trailer, because you're focused on those platforms.
Yeah.
PC is just, there's just so many different variations and configurations. And yes, on like a 4090, GTA 6 will look better than it will on the PS5
Of
or
course.
Xbox Series X. That's guaranteed, right? It'll look nuts. Yeah, it's just a different architecture, different kind of components, having to accommodate for all the different configurations, and also it's kind of like like they obviously they don't want to launch GTA in a state where people would criticize how it performs because there's always going to be like difficulty in getting the game to run on so many different systems, like so many different PCs running well and looking good. And, and this way they get to control how the game looks and perceives at launch as well, like focus on PlayStation and console. And that's what they've done traditionally. So like it sucks, but I guess I'm playing it on Xbox or PS5.
So we can expect a year because this story that I have here, I think it suggests 2026.
Yes. So like this is now like, because all we've got is a release window, right? We've got 2025. Is it going to be early 2025 or is it going to be late 2025? Odds are it's probably going to be in the second half because even if they're planning to release GTA 6 in the first half of 2025 right now, you've still got a full year next year of them to either go, oh, we need a bit more time for polish, the game is huge, right? Like I think more time, like a game of that scope, based on what we're seeing in the trailer, like to get all aspects of the game to look like that and to it perform without being buggy or anything like that. Like, if they, be like an extra 6 months, they would say yes to that.
Yeah.
And I think like, odds are, I mean, if it's late 2025, then the absolute earliest would be 2026 that it comes to PC. Because I think in the article I put how long it was between. So like GTA 5 took 18 months to get from console to PC. Red Dead Redemption 2 took about a year. It was about like 12, 13 months. Fingers crossed it's like basically Red Dead Redemption 2. So if it comes out, let's say September 2025 on PS5 and Xbox, then September 2026 or thereabouts on PC.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not too bad. And like you were saying, I am fully supportive of developers taking a bit longer than what they would initially say they were going to, so we get a good product, because the state of the gaming industry right now, where games are releasing and they're janky at launch, they don't run well, there's performance problems. It's all like, it's either the developer timeline is all stuffed up because there's top-down pressure from publishers. It's a mess. And with Rockstar being the juggernaut and having Take-Two behind them, they should like Take-Two should be like, take whatever time you need to get this game.
Take 2 extra years.
Yeah, Take-Two. That's very good. It's very good, Costa. Yeah, just so they can get it right, because no one wants to be super excited for what is the most anticipated game of all time.
That's right. Yeah.
Buy it, download it, get it all installed, open it, and it's awful, and it doesn't even run. And
or it's just like, it's terrible. Like, this is like, I mean, you don't want like it to have like performance issues on console or bugs and things like that. I mean, like there's been so many high profile releases that have been kind of like buggy in recent years.
Yeah.
But there have been like cases where games have come out like pretty polished, like, and it's usually games that are developed directly for console, like, Sony's first party games, the Spider-Man 2, runs it really well on PS5 and launched in a really solid state. Obviously, there's always going to be like little bugs and glitches here and there. These games are so complex that to think that GTA 6 won't have any bugs is insane. Yeah. But, like because they're focusing directly on the console hardware, odds are that this is going to launch and that they've got like, the backing of like take as much time and money as you need to, because they're going to be the biggest thing ever. Yeah. The odds are that it's going to be launch in a good state. Like, I don't think GTA 6 is going to launch in like a buggy, broken, or like clearly like, this needs 6 more months of cooking or baking before it's ready.
If it does, that'll be tragic. I'll be so upset.
Oh, that'll be insane. Yeah.
I'll be
like
so upset.
Surely, I mean, they have to be aware of that. Like, they can't launch this game in a state that's like, oh, well, we just have to get this out the door. Yeah. And we'll try and get a day 1 patch, and then we'll try and get a week 2 patch. I mean, a lot of games come out and it's like they're banking on those sort of like day 1 patches, and hotfixes to kind of like to iron out like the major issues.
That's usually with like online multiplayer games, I think, because they can't really anticipate how many players are going to jump into the game at the server capacity. Like, then they got to migrate the server sometimes. Like, oh man, the amount of online multiplayer games, like MMOs, where I'll jump on day 1. Like, I think it was Amazon's game. Oh, what was it called? I can't remember what it's called. New World? I think it was New World.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. New World. They're big MMO.
Yeah, I put all of me and my mates played that because we're big MMO fans, and I remember like trying to get in day 1, and like we would wait 3 hours to get in, because then like we're reading the Twitter and they're like, oh, we didn't anticipate this many people coming to the game. It's like, oh, now we got to migrate servers to a bigger capacity server. We got to wait 4 hours for this. It's like, now I don't even want. I just downloaded a 70 gig game, waited all day, and now I can't even play it. That is the worst. But yeah, I don't think GTA 6 will arrive in that kind of condition. I think Rockstar and Take-Two are very aware of the window that they have. And I think they've expressed that sentiment to their investors. That's why they've been telling their investors that, I think it was March, wasn't it? Wasn't it the month that like they were expecting a massive influx of revenue?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
For that financial year.
That's right. Yes, that quarter.
That quarter.
Yeah.
And also as well, like they get to control they get to manage the reception. So like they're going to launch it in the state that's working and everything as well. Because if you look at GTA Online, that didn't launch when GTA 5 launched, and Red Dead Online didn't launch when Red Dead 2 launched. It came out like 6 months later on console. And then launched with it on PC. So I don't think like GTA 6 won't. I don't think it's going to launch with Grand Theft Auto Online. Whatever online is going to take a bit of extra time, and potentially could take like based on like what we've been speculating of like them having their own integrated social media service in the game and integrating and just going all out with like the MMO stuff and the live sim and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if whatever Grand Theft Auto Online 2 is, or whatever that component is, arrives a year after the game.
It could come out with PC.
Yeah, could come out with a PC version. And, at best, maybe 6 months after the game launches. But I reckon like it's probably going to be a little while. And when the game launches, we'll start seeing teasers as to what that will include.
I really like the fact that they wait, not only because it means more polish on the end product, but it also means that players aren't, and I suppose this is more of a personal preference. It's like if there's an online mode, sometimes I don't even really play the single player. Like sometimes I'm drawn to the online, and it's like if that's not available and it's only the single player that's available, like I'm forced to enjoy that. So by the time that online comes out, everyone would have played, finished, explored the GTA 6 world and the environment, and we'll have a better handle and better bearings on what they're dealing with by the time that the online comes out. It's very exciting. Do you think the entire game will be delayed until 2026? I'm talking all consoles. All consoles.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, that's the thing. Like when you don't commit to a specific date, that means that
red flag.
It's still kind of in limbo, right?
Yeah.
Because delays, like delaying Grand Theft Auto 6's launch would be like a massive like news story. Like they're aware of how popular the game is, so they're not going to say, like they could have put like say March 1st, 2025 in the trailer, and try and commit to that date. And that could be where they're aiming, but like no, like just by putting 2025 means that like this is what we're aiming for, but odds are it's probably going to get pushed back, maybe even brought forward. Who knows? But like I think that Take-Two, just based on the reception of the trailer, right? Like this is like to Take-Two, this is like holy shit, we've just got 150 million views. We've just broken all these records from a single trailer. And this is not counting like the people that are reposting the trailer, like,
true.
Like IGN and GameSpot, and even just like people just repost. You can repost the trailer, right? Like every game channel kind of like does. And, and then you've got like, the trailer popping up on social media and like on TikTok and X
analysis
and things like that
by content creators.
Right. And so Take-Two can look at all this and say, well, this is like unprecedented, right? There's been nothing like this for a game, for a single player open world game like this, especially one that's like a hard MA or a hard R in terms of rating and content.
Yeah.
So, if we say like, that they'll be more comfortable saying, all right, let's delay it a year. Like they won't care about like, like they'll be able to explain that to shareholders to say like, just look at this engagement, look at what revenue is going to bring. All right, it's not coming this year, but it's going to come next year.
Yeah. The reason I bring that up is I've got that story about the Bank of America has dropped its ratings for GTA 6 to neutral from buy, sparking a market downturn for Take-Two Interactive, the publisher of the highly anticipated game, as it fell 1.5% on Thursday last week. So Bank of America analysts have looked at the trailer, and I'm also guessing financials from both Take-Two and Rockstar, and have arrived at the conclusion that it's more likely, in quotation marks, the release won't take place until the end of 2025.
Which puts it into the next sort of like financial year.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, but this is like these bean counters, right? It's like, well, if it's not coming this financial year, then, you know, don't buy the stock. You know, it's like their forecast is gone. Like, they're all like, you know, when it comes down to like, you know, people that only care about the bottom line and how much money you're going to make this quarter, like they would be the ones that are like the vultures just trying to push Take-Two to say release the game now.
Yeah, true.
Look how much reviews you got. Doesn't matter if it's unfinished.
Yep.
Just, you know, crunch.
Yeah.
You know, get your 1,000, 2,000 developers or 6,000 developers to work 80 hours a week for like 6 months and release the game, and let's all
make money.
Let's all make money, right? Like,
yeah. Another thing that they said, the analysts believe that while the trailer was extremely popular, it didn't contain enough elements that, quote, convinced us that the game was well into alpha testing, end quote. Thoughts on that?
Bank of America, they're experts on games.
The 70-year-old blokes that sit there and...
This is like Rockstar's MO, right? Like the first Red Dead trailer, the first GTA 5 trailer, like their trailers, like they've aspired... Like Rockstar like create cinematic stories and you know, like the writing in their games, like since the original Red Dead and GTA 4 have like GTA 3, like when they started like creating this sort of like crime and like, you know, really adult storylines, right? They've been kind of like leaning into cinematic like presentation, like in the real-time cutscenes and stuff like that. But their games aren't like, you know, like purely like, you know, on rails, like cinematic, like, you know, third-person games where, you know, it's all just spectacle and set pieces. Like they're full open worlds where you get to do whatever you want. But the stories are very serious. And whenever they announce their games, they always lean in on, let's showcase the world, but through the lens of the story, but make it look really cinematic. The shot selection, the lighting, you know, like it's all meticulously planned.
Oh, yeah, so, every frame.
So they're not going to show you in their first trailer like a third-person camera with a UI of the character running around. Like that's just not going to happen. Yeah.
Unless you're Hellblade.
The scene, yeah. Oh, well, like even then that was like carefully like no UI and...
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. Yeah. The Bank of America also believes it's bad that they didn't announce a PC version.
Oh. The Bank of America, like how much?
All right. Anyway,
like we could. I'm just saying we could have come up with all of this. Like, you know, how much of these analysts at Bank of America are getting paid for this hard hitting insight into like, like it doesn't look like there's a lot of actual gameplay in the trailer. Like, no shit, it's a cinematic trailer.
It's a reveal trailer. In-engine cinematic. Yeah. In-engine cinematic.
And yeah. So like all those insights are fairly elementary.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're a bit of fun though. It's good to see where the sentiment is from financial brads.
But the fact that like all these financial advisors are having to analyze the GTA 6 trailer tells you as much as you need to know that this thing is huge.
That's it. Do we have any more news on that? Like latest updates? Yeah, I think the latest one would have been the dev explaining the PC port.
Yeah, which is basically saying that, you know, you focus on a single platform and you make it the best it can be. And that's why they're focusing on PlayStation and Xbox, and PlayStation being the lead platform because that's the most, there's more PS5s out there than Xboxes.
Yep.
And and so they're just not focusing on the PC port like full time. So obviously they're like, you know, these games are developed on PCs and they know the specs for PC. The engine works on PC. They're possibly even testing the game on PC as well, but they're not devoting like, you know, a team of 300 to optimize it for GeForce and Radeon and work with NVIDIA and work with AMD to integrate all their technology and things like that. That is potentially coming at a later date. They're not like, like, hey, let's spend 6 months and I don't know how many millions of dollars trying to get ray tracing in the game just so it looks amazing
God.
on this small spec of, on the lucky few of us.
I have a question.
4090s.
I have a question. This just came to my mind. You're saying that there is more PS5s out in the wild than there is Xboxes, which is true.
Yeah.
The ratio is about 2 to 1, right?
Yeah, at least 2 to 1.
At least 2 to 1.
Because it's a bit more than that when you factor in that a lot of the Xboxes are the lower spec Xbox Series S.
Yeah.
Which
digital
games don't look quite as good as the Series X version.
So Rockstar making games specifically for consoles. Why wouldn't they make it for Xbox and PC? Because combined, that blows out PlayStation users by, I reckon, would probably be 2 to 1.
Yes, but that's also, that comes down to having to optimize it for all the different configurations out there.
Yeah, I understand that, but wouldn't that be more advantageous to total unit sales? To give PC gamers and Xbox gamers GTA 6. This is just, I don't want this to happen because that's very gatekeepy, but like I'm just thinking of the numbers side here. It's like obviously console and Xbox together, there's about, is it 60 million or so, 70 million PS5s out there?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and there's about 40 million or 50 million Xboxes. So
yeah, possibly lower or whatever the case is, yeah.
So we're talking just over 100 million total consoles out in the wild. Do you think there would be more than 100 million PC gamers that would buy Xbox? Buy GTA 6?
Yes, but it also comes down to, like, I mean, the best-selling games still, like, they still sell predominantly on console. Like, sales are still on console, right? So
yeah,
PlayStation 5 games, Nintendo Switch games, right? Like, they're still like the top 10 sellers, like every, like, year to date, like, the best, like, I just thought I'd bring it up. Yeah. So like the top 10 best-selling games this year so far, which includes retail and digital. It's like Hogwarts Legacy, Legend of Zelda is number 2. That's a Switch exclusive. You got Diablo 4 at number 3, Call of Duty at number 4, Star Wars Jedi Survivor at number 5, Madden, Resident Evil. These are all like big, like you would consider them like console games first over PC.
Why is that? When I'm guessing the numbers would be similar. Like,
like Diablo 4 would probably be like more PC than console, I would think.
Yeah, well, Hogwarts Legacy as well is... Yeah. That's also on PC.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, so if we were going to...
Like Zelda number 2 is,
That's impressive. That's a testament to Nintendo just being separate from the industry.
But there's like 100 million plus, like,
exactly, yeah.
Switches out there.
Yeah.
But, yeah... Like, I mean,
you hear what I'm saying, though? You hear what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah, I know what you're saying. But like also as well, like that sort of cynical thing of saying like, well, it's going to sell on PC anyway, and there's going to be a long tail for GTA 6.
Yeah, you're right. It's like,
let's say
of course
they're going to sell
like,
let's say they're going to break records, right? Just on console, they're going to sell 20, 30 million copies or however many in the first few months or whatever the case is. That's billions of dollars. So they recoup their costs instantly. And then they go, well, we're going to release on PC, and that's going to spike sales again, and then we're going to do the online mode, and that's going to... But like, it's not that that's the plan. But like, even if that's like the plan to say like, this is how we're going to make the most money by not launching it on PC. And if that is the case, then okay, that's the decision of Take-Two and Rockstar or whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, it also means the byproduct of that means it's going to look better and run better on console at launch.
Yes.
Because they can focus on that version. So it even if it is like a catch-22, I mean, ultimately it is potentially better for the game.
I'm also thinking now, if you make your game for console and you make it look extremely impressive, it's almost like console gamers are louder than PC gamers in terms of like the marketing for their games, because their consoles aren't as powerful as PCs, and you can still make the game look impressive, then it's overall more impressive. Like
that's always the case, though.
Yeah.
What is in a PlayStation 5, right? Let's just say like the hardware in there. What sort of power is there in a PS5 compared to a PC? And that power is essentially about a GeForce RTX 2070.
Yeah.
Super
2 series
around
behind.
that. Yeah. So a 3070 is, yes, it's more powerful than a PS5. A 3080, definitely. A 4070 and 4080, guaranteed. A 4090, potentially 3, 4, 5 times as more powerful than a PS5 in just in terms of what it's capable of.
Yeah.
But like the benefit of focusing on the console hardware is that you're focusing on that. You can get the most out of that particular hardware. And so like Baldur's Gate 3, which won Game of the Year at the Game Awards, that didn't arrive on Xbox because they couldn't quite get the Xbox Series X version working. There was like issues, like, just would have taken longer because it's a lower spec hardware, and it's like, they have to get it running on this console. If you release it on Xbox Series X, you have to release it on Series S. So you have to like do a cut down version to get it performing.
Yeah.
And basically what they did was they found optimizations to get it running on like memory and like CPU and things like that to get it running on the Series S. And it just came out for the Xbox consoles. But that patch improved performance dramatically on all platforms because they optimized it for that lower spec hardware, because they took the time to focus on that one particular spec.
It's better to build up.
So like if Rockstar is focusing, like is going to launch the game on PC as well, and you're looking at PlayStation, you're looking at Xbox, you're looking at Xbox Series S, which is lower spec. You've got 3 different hardware configurations that you're optimizing the game for already. You throw PC in there, it's not a 4th. It's now you've got 500 different optimizations to think about.
That's true.
So with Baldur's Gate, like they didn't have like, like it's just impossible. It was impossible for them to launch the game because the game has always been on PC, but to then add PlayStation and Xbox into the mix, like it just was too much because, so like I guess like ultimately what I'm saying is that like, sure it's, you could launch it all at once, but it probably is the smarter decision, even though it's disappointing that GTA 6 is not coming to PC at launch.
Yeah. No, I agree. It is probably the smarter decision. And if a game is like a house, you should build the foundations first before you start to build.
But this is also going to be better for everyone, right? Because if you look at GTA 5 on PC or Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC, that runs so well on PC and it looks amazing on PC. It's like 5-year-old game that still looks it's still one of the best looking games on PC.
For sure. Is that all? Because we're going to get strapped for time.
Let's
we're going to get strapped.
Stories.
Yeah. Do you want to go to the Game Awards or do you want to go to the Nintendo Switch now?
Let's just go to Switch because that will be. I don't think it's.
There's not much there.
Super long.
Yeah, it's not much there. Okay, so as if you've been following along with the show, we've been keeping up to date on all the Nintendo Switch rumors. Just a quick summary of this, and stop me anywhere, Costa, if I mess up any of the details. So, initial Nintendo Switch rumors started at that Germany, what is it called?
Gamescom.
Gamescom. I was going to say the Game Awards, but I knew it was wrong. Gamescom, Nintendo pulled some developers into a secret squirrel meeting where they showed them unreleased hardware and I think it was Breath of the Wild, not Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes, that's right, running in 4K. But Nintendo have come out since these rumors to say that this is all not true.
Okay. All right. So it's not worth the summary?
Well, actually, no, they didn't say it specifically. Remember they released some statements like it was like so vague that's like, like they said, a lot of the stuff out there isn't true. Like they didn't say like everything, like
Anything
like the way they worded it,
specific,
because it was during like a financial call or something like that. Like they worded it in a way that covers their ass.
It was real. So then those rumors started coming out, and more emerged in the following week, saying that Nintendo was going to adopt is it a NVIDIA ARM chip?
No, it's a Ampere chip.
Ampere,
so it's like,
Ampere.
Yeah. So the chip will be Ampere based, and which is like the 30 series. So you're looking at possibly even like 3050, 3060, 3060 Ti, like that sort of like, but like a mobile version where it's going to have Tensor, like AI hardware, so it will support DLSS.
Yeah.
And apparently, DLSS 3.5, the latest version of it. So that automatically alone, like that chip will just be like at least 2 to 3 times more powerful than what's in the existing Switch.
Oh yeah, for sure. With that, we moved on to, what were the rumors after that? We had that weird patent that came out that looked like the Nintendo Switch lost all of its features. And
personality.
Yeah, it was the strangest patent that we've seen. We didn't think that there was much validity to that. And we're almost taking the same sentiment with the following story here, which is coming from a leaker, and now we're up to date. Did I miss any of the Nintendo Switch leaks?
No, I think the main stuff was that it's going to be NVIDIA Ampere hardware.
Yeah.
Okay. Which looks to be the legit stuff.
Yeah, that appears to be, yes. That has quality behind it. But now up to date. So known Microsoft leaker, Revegnus. Yeah. His handle is @tech_reeve on X. And he took to his personal X account to share some information about the Nintendo Switch 2. Oh, sorry. No, not a known Microsoft leaker. Wait, is it Microsoft? I'm just seeing Samsung here.
Samsung leaker.
Yeah. Samsung leaker, yeah. So a known Samsung leaker took to his X account to share some information on the Nintendo Switch 2. He said that Nintendo is currently engaging in conversations about implementing the next generation OLED panels for the company's new devices, and that the release date will be early next year. Thoughts.
Like there is some of this that could be true, right? But like a lot of like the best leaks, even like fake ones, like are educated guesses, right? So you could say that Nintendo will release 2 models. Like one is a digital only model with a LCD screen, is what the leaks is suggesting, and one with an OLED panel and the traditional cartridge slot. And you could think like, okay, because Xbox has done that, Sony's doing that with the PS5 digital and the PS5, the slim redesign, and that's there's precedent for it. So Nintendo will do the same thing, right? But it's kind of like will they though? Like I don't know. Like I don't see Nintendo releasing a cartridge-free version of a console that is predominantly marketed towards children and for parents to buy the games like for them, or to be able to walk into a store and purchase like a physical, or like a kid to be able to take money into the store to buy a game or to choose a game, versus having to title digitally to have to deal with like the most mass market version of the Switch will be the cheapest one, right? Like the OLED model of the existing Switch isn't the most predominant version of the console out there. You've got the Switch Lite and you've got the regular Switch. If that was purely digital, like I don't see Nintendo doing that, because you've got the onus on a lot more like parental guidance required into like what games they're downloading and digital, and like tying credit cards to their console, and like that isn't like, you don't have to take your Switch online to play games on it.
I agree with your sentiment. We're just going to play the bit of a devil's advocate here. Maybe they're looking to expand their Nintendo Switch online service.
I would say so, yeah.
Maybe that is the angle that they're trying to work.
But, like,
even because the Nintendo Switch Online stinks.
the
Nintendo
console like can't even like handle like the UI for like online. It's so slow and clunky,
everything's
right?
diagonally. It's just it's ridiculous.
I mean, I like the emulate like the classic games on Switch Online, and the fact that they emulate like SNES and N64 and Mega Drive and
yeah, I love
things
that
like
as
that.
well. But
that's fun. But I mean, are you banking on Nintendo releasing a robust online service and ecosystem that can compete with Sony and Xbox?
not banking, praying. I'm hoping, because the Nintendo Switch Online is the worst online service that I've ever purchased. Easily,
Yeah.
Like I remember when I was playing a lot of Super Smash Bros. Even their flagship games, when you gamers trying to interact with each other within the game online sucks. It's like
Yes.
you got to like voice call. You can't like if you're playing Smash, you can't like even switch character without leaving the lobby. It's just they are so behind the 8 ball
Yeah.
in providing a seamless online experience. It's so janky. Luckily, it's only like $5 or something. I think it's
Like-
$5 a month.
Twitch launched a app for the Switch, like a native Twitch app for the Switch, like a year ago, that had limited functionality. Like you could watch a stream, but you can't chat. And just a few months ago or a month ago, I think I posted a story on it. But anyway, like they removed it, like it's end of life. Like it's like, well, we can't. Like, I mean, the Switch is so underpowered that, like, one of the benefits of switching to a new NVIDIA hardware, like the one that isn't from 2007 or something like that, equivalent in terms of like gaming performance, is the fact that it'll just be able to, like the CPU side of it will be able to handle like a more robust app and UI system.
Yeah.
Like, like the Switch like currently isn't like a multimedia device, like in terms of like, it's not something that you connect to Wi-Fi hotspots and stream media and things like that. It's not that sort of device. It's not a tablet, right? But whatever hardware is in the next version of the Switch is going to be as powerful as like, it's going to be able to do all that.
I think it'll become...
So will Nintendo lean into that?
I think they will. I think they have to. It'll become more... It'll become much more... And I suppose this is what you're saying. It'll become much more versatile device. Like instead of... I suppose it would kind of, in a way, and this might be a bit of a reach, but it would turn into more of an Xbox type console where it becomes more of a bit of a home entertainment system. Like you can, people already do this now. They watch YouTube videos on their Switch and stuff like that. Obviously not Twitch, that they don't watch that. But I can imagine with the upgraded hardware, they should be able to implement through intuitive software, and that's what I'm worried about. I'm not necessarily worried about the hardware capabilities. It's how Nintendo are going to execute the home entertainment side of the next gen console, because I think that's a no-brainer. If they can just have that all as like extra stuff in the Switch, so you still get the new Smash Bros, you still get the new Link game, but it's really easy to cast onto the, I don't know, it's got an inbuilt Chromecast. I don't know. Like it could have something like that.
Do you think they go a digital only version? I think maybe eventually, but like I don't know, at launch, do you think like the cheaper version or the most affordable version of the Switch 2 will be digital only, like this rumor suggests? I don't think so. I don't see it happening, but I mean, obviously it could. Like Nintendo, the thing about Nintendo is that like whatever like ahead of every console, right? Like go back to like the GameCube era, like ahead of that, like leaks and stuff like that, in the early days of the internet. You look at the Wii before that came out, like what people were saying is going to be, and then the Wii U, obviously that wasn't a huge success, but like nobody like was able to like predict exactly what Nintendo was going to do.
Yeah.
Even up to the Switch, right? Like it's like, even if people say like, oh, they're doing like a handheld thing, like people didn't quite understand what it is. Like, you could explain that like, oh, like the Switch is just like a handheld console. It's like their version of the DS, but you can plug it into a TV as well. And, but you know, like it's more than that. Like they created something that was like this like it is purely like a gaming device, like, you know, first and foremost. And Nintendo haven't really sort of like leaned into these trends. I mean, sure, it's the most online console they've ever had in terms of like how the robust services, and like, you know, they got cloud saves and backups now and things like that, and that will expand with the Switch too. But like them diluting what makes a Nintendo system by saying, hey, you can Chromecast, or hey, now it's a tablet and you can have all these media services, stuff that's like it's on your laptop, or stuff that you can have on a regular tablet. I don't think.
What do they do with all the extra power then? Like,
the games and the UI, like just make it fast.
I want to make the UI better.
Nintendo, just Nintendo Shop, and so it's not like slow and
not fall asleep in between the loading screen. Yeah. Oh God, let's play whatever.
Anyway, this won't be the last Switch 2 leak.
This definitely won't be.
There'll be more.
As a little bit of a disclaimer, this is from a X account, a known leaker, so please take that with a healthy amount of skepticism, as they are just rumors. Nintendo hasn't officially said a single word about its new device. That's right. There is nothing official. We don't even know if they're making one. Officially on paper, we have no idea.
Like, let's say that this is like a for real leak. Then I think the information is kind of like misconstrued. Like, it's saying early next year. I think what that means is that early next year, Samsung will be developing the panels. Will be shipping the panels to Nintendo.
Right.
Like, Nintendo will be like in production mode, right? They'll be getting the chips, this assembly.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to like launch it like early next year, I don't think. Like, at best, if this is real, that means the panels will be starting to be produced and shipped next year. Early next year.
All right. Cool. We'll keep you guys updated on any more Nintendo Switch 2 rumors. Let's move on to the Game Awards, unless you wanted to switch into Windows 10. I'm excited to talk about the Game Awards. I just honestly just want to talk about Hellblade. That's all I want to talk about.
Let's go into it. Game Awards trailers. Let's
do it. Let's do it. All right. You want to kick it off?
Well, you can, because Hellblade is probably...
All right, I'll kick it off. I love it. So I'm a big fan of Hellblade. I played the first game when it came out, but that was quite a while ago. I can't remember what year it was, but I wasn't sure if I got to the end or not. But I've recently downloaded it after playing this game, seeing this trailer at the Game Awards, and I cannot describe how good of a trailer this is. I called this the gold standard for video game trailers. Do you agree with that?
I agree that it's... Yes, because in terms of like, especially for the type of show that the Game Awards is, because this is like lots of gameplay, lots of emotion in the characters and detail, and like very cinematic. Yeah, like I think it is like, if you wanted to do a cinematic trailer, this is how you do it. Yeah. Because there's a lot of it that is it's not just cinematic shots. A lot of it is like, okay, that's the game. Like, this is how good it looks. Like, that's what you want when you're watching a trailer. Like, you want to say like, oh, this is the game and this is how good it looks.
Yeah, that's. I think I wrote that in the article. Here's a little bit of what I said. The trailer is undoubtedly an incredible piece of art by itself, with its pacing, sound design, in-game footage, story arc, and graphics. It covers all the most important bases of what gamers want out of a video game trailer. A tease of the story, an in-game footage, so they know what they're getting when they purchase it. Cinematics, so it looks sick. Combat. So, I mean, everyone likes to kill shit. Epic music, and a building of momentum that concludes by leaving you wanting more. That's hit every single part of that. It destroyed it.
That's a really good summary of what. Yeah, I agree with that breakdown of what a good game trailer should have.
Well, you want
this definitely nails it.
Yeah, well, it's the same. I suppose, process you would take if you were making a movie trailer. It's like you want to You want to show off the characters, show off the cast. You want to show off like a bit of the intensity of the movie, or like a heightened point of intensity. And then you want to leave the trailer almost on a heightened point of sensitivity, or the complete opposite, where it's like, say it's like an Infinity War trailer or whatever, and they tease that the entire cast is dead and everyone's like, oh, it's like, that is heightened sense of emotion, but it's sad emotion. It's like you want to leave it at some form of height, I think. And Hellblade Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, easily, by far, top 5 trailers I've seen for a video game.
Technically as well, right? This is one of the early games that was announced running on, that's going to be using Unreal Engine 5 technology. And it's been in development for a while. They actually announced it like at the Game Awards, I think in like 2020 or even like 2019 or something like that. Like it was a while ago that they announced it. And so what like they've done is that like they're obviously using all of Unreal Engine 5's technology. They've got like one of the world's best, or like, you know, most advanced motion capture studios at Ninja Theory. So when you're seeing in this trailer, you're seeing those character faces that look amazing in terms of the detail. Like that's performance capture at sort of like, you know, weighted digital levels in terms of what it's able to translate into the game engine. Not only that, they spent months going to like Iceland and these sort of places and mapping it with photogrammetry and like leaning into some Microsoft resources to be able to say like, we, you know, taking like detailed like aerial shots of like landscape and then translating that into the game. So like that's why the environments look incredible. So like, but then like if you take all that together, like the developer has also said that what you're seeing there was all captured on Xbox Series X.
Yep.
Right. So
That's
like
insane.
it shows you that like it's a powerful console, right? It's like, it's not the most powerful machine in the world. No, but it's a powerful console, and it just shows you that when you have the art and the tech,
the optimization.
And the optimization and, you know, and the vision and all that comes together, you can get a game that looks like this. This will be like probably Xbox's most impressive release in 2024, because they also announced that it's coming sometime next year.
Yeah, I love that. If you look at if you look in the description of the trailer, it says, and I encourage anyone that hasn't seen the trailer to adhere to the recommendation of, when you watch it for the first time, watch it with headphones. Because
sound design,
the sound design is probably like, I don't know, I love sound design. I'm a big Hans Zimmer fan. I'm like, I think it's Loris Van Gorison or something like that. He did the pardon me, soundtrack for Oppenheimer. Bear McCreary as well did the soundtrack. I think it was for God of War as well.
And he did like the Battlestar TV series. From the mid 2000s that had brilliant music and sound.
Yeah, I'm a big sound guy. And the sound design in this trailer and in Hellblade in itself is incredible. I don't know if you've ever played Hellblade, but I'm pretty sure at the start of the game, if I'm remembering correctly, there's a schizophrenia warning.
Yeah, because it is like the game digs into mental illness as part of its character study, and it is quite
extensive.
And this will be an extension of that, and like the sound design, like just based on what we've seen in this trailer and previous early looks, is just going to be next level as well. This is going to be like, I think, pretty huge. I think this is like, it's not like, because it's like a darker sort of game, like I don't think it's going to, like, you know, it has that sort of like God of War quality in terms of like, you know, it appeal to everyone sort of thing. Like I don't think, like, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but like this sort of like, when you get to this sort of level of like serious in terms of presentation, I think it limits the appeal. The appeal of it, yeah.
Yeah. I agree that the setting of the game and just the overall dark nature, both physically and mentally, of like what Senua goes through. I'm just a sidebar. I remember in the first game, I'm walking across a ledge and Ninja Theory has developed custom audio profiles for 7.1 surround sound. So when you're wearing a compatible headset and you're going across this ledge, you can start to hear, like, from far away, you can hear her voices in her head. It's like, you're gonna fall.
Yeah.
Gonna fall. Oh, you're so bad. And it's like, it's whispers in your ears.
Yep.
And as you're going, like, across the ledge and getting closer and closer to the end, it's just like they start to get closer, and then she starts freaking out. And it's just, it's a whole audio experience in itself, and I cannot wait to see what they've done with Microsoft money behind them, because I don't think they had Microsoft before.
Oh, they were independent when they did Hellblade. So
that's what I thought.
Ninja Theory they did mainly like a few PlayStation games that were really well received, but that was kind of like in a weird period, kind of like when when these big companies weren't buying studios, right? And it was difficult for like not a huge developer to make a sort of like big sort of game. So they only had a small team, and they decided with the original Hellblade was to like the scope is not going to be like a 100-hour game. It's going to be like this small contained 8 to 10 hour experience or whatever the case is, but it's going to be like like cinematic and polished, and like we're going to make it like that small slice is going to be at the best quality that we can. Versus, creating something the size of like an Assassin's Creed or something like that.
I'm pretty sure the actor,
she works.
Yeah,
she was
Melina. I'm gonna butcher her last name. Juergens. I don't know. You have a Google of that. Anyway. She won the best performance that year.
Yep.
For Hellblade when that came out, the Game Awards, which I thought was awesome. It's like a little indie studio comes out, and then she just destroyed it. Yeah, what a performance. Please go watch the Hellblade 2 trailer. It deserves way more views than any other trailer, even GTA. it's such a better trailer than the reveal trailer for GTA. It might be a hot take, but I'm talking cinematically. This is a better trailer than the reveal trailer for GTA 6.
Okay, yeah. But the hype isn't there, though. Like, you know what I mean? Like the GTA 6 trailer, yeah, okay. Yeah.
No, the hype isn't there. I'm talking about visually and the way that it was presented. I think this is one of the best trailers that is on the internet right now. Let's move on to another Game Awards.
Yeah, okay. Light No Fire. So, Hello Games, who created No Man's Sky. And if you know No Man's Sky, you remember that was, when that was announced, it was kind of like an earth-shattering thing. It was like, oh, you got a procedurally generated galaxy where you can land on any planet and explore the planets and then fly into space seamlessly. And Yeah. And then when it launched on PS4, it was not.
You couldn't do any of that.
I mean, you could do some of it, but like it was not. But then like, years of like expansions and patches, it's now like now there's like seamless proper multiplayer and the biome, like there's so much you can do in the game. It's like bananas, right? So No Man's Sky is one of those redemption stories where it kind of like promised all this, didn't quite deliver, but now it's delivered on everything that it initially set out to do and more. So the studio's next game was announced at the Game Awards. It's called Light No Fire. Instead of a procedurally generated galaxy or universe, it's a single planet, but it is a Earth-sized planet in the game.
Wow.
So like, think of just where you are right now, right? You're going to walk for an hour in a direction and you would get to like maybe your local big shopping center or whatever the case is. You're not going to get very far in an hour.
Yeah.
So the size of like a 1-to-1 replica of the Earth as
impressive.
A game world. Procedurally generated, yes. Multiplayer, yes. It's a survival game. It's a building game like No Man's Sky, but it's also a fantasy game. So there's going to be animals that you can mount and fly around on, as opposed to spaceships. So it's a fantasy world. The trailer is pretty impressive for what they're showing. It looks kind of like No Man's Sky in terms visually, because you can tell it's obviously they're sharing the tech, But Hello Games is still a very tiny studio, but their ambition is impressive. So Hello Games boss Sean Murray, he showed up at the Game Awards, and he basically said there's going to be real mountains that are miles high. You can climb, you can see rivers, canyons, continents. The first real open world, something without boundaries. It's a place where people can live out their adventures together. So it's like as a fantasy world, like imagine that, like you're in a different country and it's like, well, it's going to take me 3 months to get to you.
That is
if there's no fast travel.
There has to be fast travel.
They have to be, right? Yeah.
Or at least a flight. Imagine if I had wanted to go to the US or like to England from Australia. And I'm like, I just got to hop on a dragon and wait 11 hours.
This is the difficult thing, right? Like, have you played like Microsoft Flight Simulator, right?
Yeah,
so that has a one-to-one representation of the Earth, of our Earth. It's a digital twin in Flight Simulator, and it uses cloud data, satellite data, petabytes of cloud streaming information. Ridiculous. As you're playing, like it draws on, like it's an absolute insane technical feat, but it is that thing, right? Like you want to fly to Sydney from where I am in Melbourne, it's going to take an hour. If I want to fly to Los Angeles from Melbourne in the game, it's going to take 15 hours. I once left it, like I think for like when it came out, it was on like autopilot mode, like where it's going to do it automatically, and I did like from like Melbourne just to Brisbane, just because that's got like a 4-hour, 5-hour flight. I didn't want to like leave my PC on for days, just like running at 100%.
I was gonna say your GPU is at load. If you're just like out of the room playing Flight Simulator like a madman.
So this was during the pandemic, right? Because that's when that game came out. So like I kept like checking on it, was doing other stuff, and just had it like just basically like just the camera just on the plane, just in the clouds, like just for like hours, and like this is. Like it was interesting, but it wasn't fun.
It's an impressive feat of technology, I think. I think
so. This, like making a game with that sort of scope, like I'm always afraid of like scope like that.
I'm always afraid because I worry about how empty the world is going to feel. There is nothing worse than this actually relates to New World, Amazon's MMO. That felt like there was a lot of stuff in the world at launch, but then when we got to Endgame, there was nothing to do. Nothing. Right. So I really hope that when this game comes out, there is not just a lot of content at the start, and then once because gamers will smash this if this is if it comes out and is what they say it is, people will play this a lot, and then if they get to like quote unquote the end of the game, or they've like acquired most of the things that they want and there's nothing else, they'll just drop it. So that's why I worry about the scope of games, because usually when they say there's a big scope, there's a lot of stuff at the start to entice you, to get you in. It's like, oh wow, this is incredible, look at the size of it. And then after you get through all of that stuff and you complete the main quest or whatever, you realize there's nothing else to do. Like this now, the world feels empty, it feels dry, it's lost its shine.
That's right. Because you're only like going for like, that's right, like you're only doing what you can do, and then once you've done that, you realize like that there really isn't like all that, like the worst open worlds, and you're right, like even if they're huge, it's just like a interconnected like copy paste of like these icons or tasks where it doesn't really matter the distance and what like where it is or where it's situated, like doesn't like all that's inconsequential, because it like once you've done, it's like this is boring. This is like what like outside of like Starfield, but like Skyrim is so good because the world isn't like the biggest open world ever, but it's so varied, and like you can discover things. Like you go here and it's like, oh, this is like this town is completely different from that town, and like this region is, I can climb this mountain and I can find something up here. Like it is like well constructed, and you can come back to it and explore that world, and where things are. Like you can, like if you played enough Skyrim, you can go like you can kind of like visualize where these landmarks are. Like it feels like a believable world. Yeah. And for this to be like believable or at that sort of scale, I mean, like the ambition of No Man's Sky was bananas, right? And this might be a similar case where it doesn't quite hit that at launch, but it'll get there eventually. But more power to Hello Games for doing something so ambitious.
I love to see, regardless of whether this hits or not when it comes out, I love to see indie developers taking big swings. Like, you don't get home runs unless you take a big swing, and it doesn't matter how many times you miss. I suppose. Like a big swing and a miss is better than no swing at all. What else do we have on the menu here?
There was a bunch of other stuff.
Do you want to just do some like honorable mentions so we don't get caught for time here?
There was one that I think is just fun. Sega, like it didn't look good in the trailer, right? So like Sega released this the next level trailer where it's kind of cheesy, like has real world people before it gets to the game stuff.
Oh no!
But it's basically Sega, and this is the cool part is that Sega they said that they're going back to recapture the glory days of like the Dreamcast and before that the Mega Drive or Genesis or whatever it was called in the US. So they confirmed that there's 5 games in development: Crazy Taxi, Jet Set Radio, Shinobi, Golden Axe, and Streets of Rage. A lot of these games date back to the arcade era of Sega and the 16-bit era or the Dreamcast era, which is exciting. The only game that actually looked okay out of all that footage was kind of like Golden Axe, but there's like this disclaimer at the bottom saying early development footage, not indicative of the final product for like once you started seeing images from the games. So everything looks super early. But I mean, if you loved the Dreamcast or like that sort of classic Sega era, it's kind of fun that they announced 5 games in one trailer.
That's cool.
And cool. 5 of those games are kind of like, their classic franchises. If they just said, hey, we're bringing back Shinobi or Golden Axe, people will be like, oh, that's cool. But they announced that plus Crazy Taxi.
I like Crazy Taxi. I think I played that.
Oh, yeah, same.
I didn't play any of the other titles, though. I didn't play Shinobi. I mean, it's before my time. I'm only 25, so... Yeah. I do like to see a bit of... nostalgia launches. They're nice. It's always nice for gamers, but I'm a bit concerned about where Sega, how do they survive in a world where they don't really have like a new IP that makes them a bunch of money, do they? Am I forgetting something that they make, or I'm thinking the only thing that's coming to mind is Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah. Well, Sega like at least are doing okay because of Sonic and the movies and the most recent games selling well. Although I would argue, and I don't even think this is that controversial, that there hasn't been a single good Sonic game.
No. There's not one. There's no Sonic game that is like Super Mario Odyssey. No. If Sega needs to do that. If you're listening, Sega, make, and I would be so shocked if you were listening.
They released like an open world one.
Yes.
I played, they sent me code, or I got code for it anyway. Like Sonic Frontiers, the most latest one. It was kind of like realistic visuals, but then they had some like virtual worlds which kind of look like the old games. But anyway, it was not good. No. I didn't like it at all. Like
they need to do an Odyssey.
At best, Sonic games are 6 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
Like at best. At their most best moments.
Yeah, when they're looking their best.
The people that love them, so like maybe this is controversial and people will be like, ooh, you hate Sonic. But like, let's be honest, like there's no Sonic game that gets even remotely close to the brilliance of Mario.
Yeah. 100%.
And what Nintendo's doing.
Oh yeah, Nintendo innovating, and like just look at the Super Mario Bros. Movie. It's the biggest animated movie of all time. It just shows that little Italian plumber can really pull some numbers.
Sega are a publisher. Let me just have a look at like their games from this year. Actually, no, nothing. Last year, Bayonetta.
Bayonetta's pretty big, but again, that's like indie studio, and I'm pretty sure it's only on the Nintendo.
Oh, they
might do a PC.
The Yakuza games. Okay.
Oh, Yakuza, yeah.
Have you played any of those?
No. Actually, I might have played 4. I
played them.
Yeah,
I played the one. The one that they turned it into like a turn-based RPG. Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Yes. That is the Like a Dragon one. Number 4. I wasn't really big on it. We should just stick
there-
onto the Game Awards here. What else do we have that is an
There was
announcement?
a new Blade game from the Dishonored and Deathloop studio Arcane, and because they're an Xbox first-party studio, this kind of sounds like Xbox is getting its own. Well, it was weird because it wasn't announced as like with an Xbox logo, but you know, like when you think of like the Spider-Man games, you think of PlayStation, right? Because it is, you know, like
Insomnia.
Spider-Man's it's not going to come out on Xbox, right? But Arcane is a first-party Bethesda Xbox studio, so they're working on a Blade game, and it's set in Paris, and the trailer was kind of cool. And Dishonored and Deathloop, that team is pretty talented. So this sounds like Xbox's Marvel game.
Cool.
Which
I
is
like
pretty cool.
that. I like that. And Blade is such a nice character. I hope it's not a G rated because Blade is R. Like,
Yeah.
that is gruesome stuff. And he's an anti-hero, I'm pretty sure. Like, he'll just kill civilians that get in the way, I think.
There was a few other things at the Game Awards. There was like Hideo Kojima announcing something called OD for Xbox that made no sense. Like it just showed character faces talking, and he came out and didn't really say anything apart from this is going to be groundbreaking, or I don't know. Like you have no sense of what it is as a game.
Why is he so mysterious?
Because
Why is
like Hideo Kojima and the Game Awards and the host Jeff Keighley are like best buds or something.
Oh, are they? Okay. Well, that man had the audacity to put out a walking simulator that was really good. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Let him do whatever he wants. Death Strand. Yeah. You glorified UPS driver.
Yeah. I mean, there was other like just like game stuff that isn't like huge, like, you know, like headline grabbing, like, you know, Monster Hunter, Capcom's got a new one out. Just having a look here. The Finals got a launch, which is a really cool first-person shooter from Battlefield developers. If you look at the Finals trailer, like fully destructible environments.
Wait, what Battlefield are we talking?
Talking like Battlefield
3? Or Bad Company 2 developers weren't the same as 3, right? Because didn't they have a studio? Like, didn't the studio?
Yeah, there's a couple of studios that have kind of like formed from ex-DICE developers, but this is one of them. And so the Finals is like, I don't know what but they're former Battlefield developers that are leading the studio. It's Embark Studios, but it's a first-person shooter with that. It's kind of like a futuristic game show. It's actually blowing up on Steam right now. I've downloaded, but I haven't fired it up yet. I want to play it because it's got like fully destructible environments, first-person shooter, and
it's free to play.
It's tons of fun. Yeah, it's free to play.
Wow. Okay. 12 gig of memory recommended. Yeah, not bad. Oh, wow. Dude, okay, recommends a 2070 for you to play it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is Battlefield devs, right? DICE always push visuals, so it's good.
Yeah, 2070.
Looks
damn.
really cool.
All right, cool. I'm going to download that now.
Yeah, well, obviously not right this second because you don't want to
mess up the stream. All right, I won't download it now then. No, I'm kidding. I want to talk about the Call of Duty devs being weak.
Oh, yeah. Let's.
Do you think this was the biggest story of the Game Awards?
This and the fact that it was very little awards at the Game Awards.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So basically, like, it was just like all these announcements and stuff, right? And like musical performances and all, you know, celebrities coming out to promote stuff or show a trailer for something. And then like it would cut to like Jeff Keighley and it'd be like, and he would go through like about 5 or 6 awards in like 60 seconds. Then this is the award for best RPG, and the winner is Baldur's Gate 3. And then now here's the nominees for best multiplayer game, and the winner is this, and here's the nominees for this. And it's like, what? Like they weren't even handing them out.
Oh wow. Okay. I only watched the clips. I didn't watch the full show.
I had it running in the background. We went for like 3 hours. I just had it like running while I was, you know, working and doing stuff.
So it was more of like an ad thing.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
It felt like an E3 type show as opposed to like an actual award ceremony.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's a bit disappointing. Hopefully they change that up. Okay. So what is probably one of the biggest stories coming out of the Game Awards this year is the controversy started with God of War voice actor Christopher Judge, who took to the stage to said that his speech wasn't going to be long and that he wasn't going to be taking up too much of their time, which is a reference to last year where he won Best Performance for his role of Kratos in God of War Ragnarok, and he did an 8-minute speech, which was like, he is just bumping the what is it called? Just like comedians bump the set list. He's bumping the set list. Very, very no in the entertainment industry. So that wasn't what people had a problem with, was him saying that his speech this year was going to be shorter than last year. It was the fact that he made a joke, which was clearly a joke that triggered Call of Duty developers. Here's what he said. I'm not going to stand up here making long speeches. I'm going to stick to the script. No 8-minute speech like last year, but fun fact, my speech was actually longer than this year's Call of Duty campaign. And in the video, he's like, oh. Like, and then all of the Call of Duty developers are like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah, but not only that, like other developers coming out in support, like you know how much time and effort was made, and like, you know, like it's like, yes, but like also like they started leaning into like the facts that, there was like a report that, you know, that this latest campaign was like rushed and the developers were like under crunch and whatever the case, like, you know, standard video game, in, you know, like, you know, any sort of like massive industry, like a huge billion-dollar product or whatever development sort of like issues surrounding that.
Yeah. So
at the end of the day, it was just like a joke, and not the best joke in the world, but still like a kind of like a
It's a G-rated joke.
I would like if they came out and said, like, we just don't think that joke is funny, you're like, okay, that's a fair assessment, right? Like, it's an opinion, it's subjective.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you may not find that joke funny. Like, and personally, I don't think it's like the most cleverest joke, but it's kind of like a hacky sort of like award show joke, right?
It is. Yeah,
totally
exactly
safe.
Right.
You would think that would just glide under that would be like immediately forgotten because it's like it's safe, and it's like, yeah, haha, this year's Call of Duty campaign was short, but my speech was longer. Funny. Yeah, that is. Let's move on to the next thing. Like, you're taking offense to that?
No, people are. So this is a former Call of Duty developer at Infinity Ward, who now works as a senior systems designer at Bungie. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that name. Do you have the story up?
Let me bring it up.
Because it is
pronounce the name. I probably could pronounce it.
Yeah, no, you're
actually in there. We go.
Yeah, it's starts with an A. It's the second paragraph there. Third, sorry, fourth actually.
Ajinkia Limaye.
Yeah. Okay. Ajinkia Limaye, a former Call of Duty developer at Infinity Ward, said, "Funny." But yeah, the metrics that Call of Duty absolutely destroys all of God of War games, probably combined, to be honest, is also equally laughable, if not more.
That's like, what? Ooh. It's like, well, like, first of all, like, this Christopher Judge is like, do you think he's like a representative of God of War? Like, he's the voice actor, right? And he does a good performance as Kratos, but it's not like he's like the global representative of God of War in every single God of War game. So they're saying like, it's like, oh, it's like that is like schoolyard level. It's like they're saying like, oh, you know, Call of Duty short campaign, and it's like, well, more people play Call of Duty than all the God of Wars. That's like, it's like, you know, like console wars. Like, you know, you go on Twitter or X and you know, like PlayStation fanboys, the ponies, versus like the Xbots.
Yeah,
and they're
it's
all
crazy.
just like, you know, it's that level of just like, what are you even fighting over? Like, who cares?
Yeah, and another so this was quite a divisive story. There were people backing up Christopher Judge, and then there were people backing up the developers for spending so much time on their game. Some of my favorite comments were from people backing up Judge. Call of Duty devs apparently need to learn to take a bit of lighthearted ribbing, and this is my favorite comment of all time. So you're saying Call of Duty devs So you're saying Call of Duty devs wouldn't survive 2 minutes in their own game's lobbies. That is perfect. It sums up how much of a wet tissue these people have for a joke. Is if they took 1 second to spend in their own lobbies of the game that they're making, they would break down into tears. It is all... Oh, yeah, dude. No, this is the best comment, actually. This is... Sorry. COD lobbies are now the most wholesome places on Earth. Everyone that plays had to sign a code of conduct, which, as we all know, everyone definitely reads and follows.
Imagine a world where this is this is legitimately a controversial joke.
Yeah.
Like this is controversial to see.
I want the Game Awards to turn into like the Golden Globes, where they get Ricky Gervais up there.
They need to get somebody to get up there and
just roast every single developer and publisher for what they've done throughout the year, and make that would be the best. Yeah. So like that, you'd have. I mean, Christopher Judge could do it. That'd be pretty funny. And he just stands up there and just berates Take-Two, berates Rockstar, berates like all of the Bungie, all of the big developers for their like flops, and or like excessive microtransactions, or
like
it would
Blizzard
be
or whatever.
Awesome.
Like just rib like EA and Blizzard and like Ubisoft and just crack jokes, but ones that are just, I mean, that's funny. Like, I mean, as if like nothing is above parody or satire. Like,
100%.
When it's done well. Like, if you were to actually get a comedian, like that's why I think like the Game Awards is a little bit weak, because like, I mean, Jeff Keighley, who runs the show, like he's the main presenter. It's like, okay, but he's not like charismatic to the level of like an actual host.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. That's about all I've got about the Game Awards.
Yeah, let's power through some of these other stories. Windows 10 support ending because the time, and we've got a few stories that we talked about in the summary that we need to get to.
Yeah, true. Do you want to do this one, or do you want me to take it?
Yeah, I can take it. I can actually read some of your excellent writing.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much.
Microsoft has taken to its website to announce that Windows 10 has reached end of support phase, meaning Microsoft will sever support with the operating system. And early last month, we had data that revealed that Windows users are currently migrating to Windows 11 from Windows 10, with early operating systems such as Windows 7 and Windows 8 taking up a small percentage of total Windows users. But Windows 10 remains the most dominant operating system with a massive 71.6% market share, according to data from StatCounter. And more interestingly, Windows 10 market share hasn't changed for the past year, as figures from September 23 are identical to figures from September 2022. So what does this mean? Well, Microsoft is announcing that it's ending support for Windows 10 on October 14, 2025, as a move to get people off the old operating system to the new systems. And yeah, I mean, it's 2 years away, but if 70% of people are rocking Windows 10 still, or even let's say 60%, let's be conservative. That's hundreds of millions of people, and the ending support in 2 years, in less than 2 years, is I don't know. Like, obviously, it is a move to get people off the operating system, but like, I see them extending its support. To be honest,
really, that's interesting. Yeah. Why you don't think the migration process that's not enough time?
No, it's not enough time. But also as well, I think there'll be too many businesses. But they've kind of like weirdly announced. I think after this story went up, it's in my list of things to cover. Is that they're going to offer like a subscription service to people that want to continue using Windows 10. I think they know that they're not going to be able to get everybody across. So they're going to offer like, if you want to keep using Windows 10 and you want support, you have to pay.
So you think they'll dedicate a small group of developers to keep ongoing support for Windows 10 for paying subscribers?
Yep.
Would you think they would incorporate that in their like Microsoft 365 or something like that? As like you could shoot. I'm just because Microsoft love to bundle things together. Yeah. So I'm thinking about how would they actually roll that out to customers? I would probably put it in the 365, so you can get. I don't own 365, so please feel free to correct me on this. Pretty sure you can get Microsoft
like
Office,
storage.
cloud storage,
Cloud
and
storage.
all of that, right?
I subscribe to it. It's really good. Just
No,
because
it is?
I use it for cloud storage. Yeah.
Oh, is that why you send me the podcast on OneDrive?
Yeah, you get like 2 terabytes, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I might look into this.
Yeah, it's like you get an insane amount of like storage.
Fantastic.
And the app works really well on Android devices, and I'm assuming it works well on iOS as well. But yeah, like it's a little bit clunky, but it's like because it's so integrated into Windows, because like if I bring up like File Explorer, I've just got my OneDrive there. Like,
yeah, true.
It's just, they're just folders on my PC, and I just save everything there, and it's automatically backed up to the cloud. So if I log on my laptop, which is Windows 10, actually no, it's 11. But then like, all the files are there. Like there is no, like I've gone full cloud Windows. Like there's nothing stored on the local drive, like just purely local.
Fair.
Like I have like a downloads folder, which is like fair enough because that's just like, just images and whatever, like just files that you don't care about really. But like everything that is saved to that. That's a bit off topic, but like I think that like this is going to be a catalyst for people to make the jump from Windows probably to Windows 12, because as we reported last week, one of the stories was Windows 12 is probably going to come out next year, which will be before Windows 10 support officially ends. Yeah. But when they ended support, it was a similar situation for Windows 7. Windows 7 was the most popular system, was the most popular OS for quite a while. And then they ended support for that, and then people just left it wholesale. Like same with XP. As soon as they ended support, it's like people just jump ship, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to make the move. So it is them like putting their foot down to say like, you just have to like move off from Windows 10. Like it's time to upgrade. And I think people will just begrudgingly do that. I mean, gamers are upgrading at a faster rate because, DirectX technologies and things like that evolve with each new operating system. Yep. And games run better on, in some cases or a lot of cases, on newer operating systems, or the latest games take advantage of features and things like that.
No, I'll be running the latest operating system. That's just because I love to see new tech. That's about it.
Yeah. Same. Cool.
All right. Now,
government spying on you. Tell me about it.
Oh God.
I know they've always been spying on us. I mean,
yes.
WikiLeaks and what was the Snowden stuff?
Yes, Snowden, WikiLeaks. That was
before
all
that stuff came out.
Now
this is conspiracy crackpots that said the government's watching everything and recording everything, and it's like yes, well, turns out that they're building data centers with like just to store everything.
Yeah, what was the then you had the Intel backdoor. What was that called?
Yeah.
Spectre.
They've all got backdoors. Like they have to factor it in. It's just bizarre that they have to, but yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to try and summarize, because this is a very complicated
it's a hot
story.
Topic.
This is a hot topic, and I'm going to try and summarize it to the best of my ability in a short time. So, first, Senator Ron Wyden sent a letter to the Department of Justice informing them that he got a tip that foreign officials are requesting Google and Apple to provide them with metadata on push notifications. So, for those that don't know, when a push notification arrives on your device, it has first gone through your respective OS servers. So if you're on Android, it's gone through Google servers. If you're on Apple, it's gone through Apple servers.
I didn't even know that, right? Like I thought push notifications were just device only.
No, it's got to go straight through. It's got to go straight through their OS. And I assume that, I always assumed that everything that's going through the OS, there is some form of digital paper trail on their servers.
I just meant that it was controlled by the local OS only. Like there's no need to push that through servers.
Oh, right.
Like if it's just a notification, it's like, that comes there and then it's pushed to you. That's what the name implies, right? Like it's notifying you. It's not notifying the government.
Yeah. I thought about it originally, like, say I'm on Twitter. Someone comments on Twitter. Twitter's app then has to send for it to get to my device for that push notification to come up. It first has to go through Apple's servers to then identify my Apple ID with my
Yes.
device so it can send the push notification to me. That's how I thought about it. And apparently that's correct. So what happens is they first travel over Apple and Google servers, depending on what operating system you're running. And a court record reviewed by 404 Media has revealed that the US government is demanding Google and Apple provide information on push notifications and how they can be used to identify a specific device. Wyden's letter didn't disclose the legal route used by the government to obtain this information, but one record shared by CourtWatch highlights an instance of a push token request by US officials. The record is a search warrant application from May 2020 that is related to the investigation of an individual suspected of theft of government funds. Now, in this court document, it writes, under the background information regarding provider services section of the document, an FBI special agent requests a push token, which is this is what is said in the document, a unique identifier that allows the provider associated with the application to locate the device on which the application is installed. So and this is what was specifically said, accordingly, the computers of provider are likely to contain useful information that may help to identify the specific device/devices used by a particular subscriber to access the subscriber's provider account via the mobile application. So that might be a little confusing for those that aren't up to date, and it is confusing for me even. But the long and the short of it is the government, not only the US government, but foreign governments have requested Apple to provide them with push tokens on devices. So the fact that they're even requesting this and at the same time telling Apple and Google that they cannot talk about this has, I suppose, revealed that they have and can read the contents of your push notifications, get your device location. Here is, I'll just read this real quick. In this case, this is Apple's response to this Wyden's letter becoming public. In this case, the federal government prohibited us from sharing any information. Now that this method has become public, we are updating our transparency reporting to detail these kind of requests. So they were under forcible NDA.
Yeah.
When these requests come. Yes.
But that's what all these leaks, all these revelations kind of like prove that when they come out, as we said initially, it was like, WikiLeaks and Snowden and stuff like that. Is that like, it's all like behind closed doors, and then it becomes public, and it's like, oh yeah, this is happening. From
that statement, at least Apple said, it seems like they've been wanting, or that's what they at least want to appear as. They've been wanting to tell the public about this, but they weren't able to.
I think a lot of them will be, yeah. I think a lot of these massive tech companies, they're obviously not, like in terms of like guilt-free, in terms of like, they're not like run by like, they're not perfect in any sort of way. But like they're beholden to like all this stuff that they most likely wouldn't agree with in a lot of cases, to say like why do we have to have like a backdoor in every version of X operating system for the government agency, this clandestine agency, to be able to access any system anywhere, and we have to give that to them, and we have to give them access to all their personal information. There's a lot of stuff that that they don't necessarily like want to do.
Yeah.
But they kind of have to do.
Yeah. So just to talk about the metadata that is within, which is this push token. Within those push notifications, such as within that push token is data on which app received the notification, which phone it was sent to, a Google or Apple account associated with that device, and in some cases, the text that is within the push notification that's displayed on the device's wake screen. So, yes, this, I'm guessing, and my professional opinion, has been happening for a very long time, ever since push notifications came into existence. It's only just coming out now because of a senator getting a tip from someone on foreign officials, which has kind of like busted the door open on the entire thing, because it's not obviously just foreign officials that are requesting this data from Apple and Google. It is also the US government. There is no, and probably any other government. Like this is just showing that this entire time, your data has been read. It can be copied. It can be all of it. All of it is available to access if you have high enough, I suppose, government law writing ability. You can go up to Google and Apple and be like, here's a document. We need this because this is an investigation into this individual who has stolen X amount of whatever. You provide
all this data should be tracked.
I mean, it is. I mean, it's already being tracked. What I think is, and I agree with what Senator Wyden wrote in his letter. Here's what he said. I just want to make sure it's right here. Pardon me here. I'm just trying to work out where it is. Regardless, he requests that policies be implemented so Apple and Google have to publicly reveal any foreign government, including the US government, of requests for this data and where the data is coming from. It's like basically make it transparent. Bring it, open up the can of worms and show like Russia is requested, China is requested, and then we can get a graph and see what time, like certain times is happening. It's I don't know.
It's like it's so widespread, right? Like, and it's like it's not surprising, but it's also like add it to the list of like things that are just out of control in terms of like tracking and data that are just outside of like the usual ad sort of stuff, telemetry. But like if you look at like just where we are in Australia, right? Like there's laws in terms of like online data, or like in telecommunications and other things where companies have to like retain all this information for X amount of time, right? They have to by law here. Yeah. For legal reasons. But there's no stipulation as to how or why or where this stuff is being stored. That's why, like, you know, like recently in Australia, there was that big Optus outage, and there was like Optus hack, and there's like all these companies getting hacked. And like even in the US, right? So the US, like similar to this, they would have stipulations with companies that you have to provide us X amount of data if we want it, right? But they don't stipulate like where you store that data, how long you store that data, and even just like if the companies are storing this data for just ad tracking, for like to track everything that you're doing so they can target ads directly to you, right?
Yeah.
On
what's their
device.
motivation?
There's no regulation to say like how secure that data has to be and where it has to be stored and what type of security and like it's just the Wild West in a lot of cases for a lot of this stuff, where it's beholden up to corporations to like decide how they're storing this data
and
how they're
regulators.
And there's no regulation on like being sold to third parties or data brokers and if this data broker can buy your personal information, where's he going to store it? Like, is that tracked? Is that like, you know, like it's just insane, like the levels that this is all at the moment. But also as well, it's like, you know, it's good that Apple and Google want to be transparent about it, and they should be, and we should know exactly what a push token is, what it's stored, what information's in there, and how to opt out of it easily, like, you know, with like a one click to say I don't want to be involved in that. Yeah.
No, I completely agree. It would be kind of like iOS 14 when Apple rolled out the opt-in, opt-out of Facebook tracking, which absolutely nuked small businesses that were trying to sell clothes and stuff like that, because most users just said, no, I don't want my data tracked. So then Facebook advertising, targeted ads on Facebook just dove off of a cliff because they didn't have the data anymore, and small businesses had to flex into...
they'd be paying you for that data.
Yeah.
You should get in a cut.
You should be getting a cut. You're right. We'll keep you updated on this story. This is a pretty big story. I'll brush up on all of the...
running long.
We are running long. We always run long.
There's a couple of like quick stories that we mentioned. Obviously, we mentioned PlayStation Pro in the...
Just do that quickly.
So let's end on the PlayStation Pro. And all right, so basically PlayStation Pro at this stage is confirmed or basically coming end of next year. There's apparently dev kits out with developers. And so the PS4 had a mid-generation refresh, the PlayStation 4 Pro. And that came out because TVs kind of like upgraded to 4K.
Yeah.
So the PS4 came out in like 2013 or 14, whatever the case is. And that was kind of like a long generation. And then about 2017, about 3-4 years later, 4K TVs came out. So they launched the PS4 Pro, and Xbox did the same with like a One X for the Xbox One. And so basically these consoles could target 4K. It was obviously upscaling and other trickery, but that's kind of like the reason why there was a mid-generation refresh. And so there is the expectation that kind of like set an expectation that Sony's going to do it again. It kind of, to me, feels like this is coming sooner rather than a bit too soon. But there is enough rumors now, or enough credible information to point to like a PS5 Pro coming late next year.
Yeah.
Whereas Microsoft has says that they're not going to do their own version of that, or there aren't any plans right now, but we'll see about that. But basically the PS5 Pro, according to leaked reports coming from Reset Era forums, Kepler, who's a big leaker for like GPU stuff over on X, and that there's code names for the chips inside the console now called Viola, and apparently these leaks are going to keep coming thick and fast now because these development kits, PS5 Pro development kits, are with developers because it's launching late next year. And so the big thing is that it's still going to use the same AMD Zen 2 architecture for the CPU side, but it's going to be overclocked to 4.4 gigahertz compared to, I think, like 2.8 or 3 or something on the existing one. But the other thing is that the GPU side is now being upgraded to TSMC's 4 nanometer process node, but it's going to be running RDNA 3, which is AMD's existing architecture. PS5 existing architecture is kind of like an RDNA 2 hybrid.
Right.
And so it's going to have the same sort of memory, but like the GPU, this is where it gets interesting, is that because the PS5 existing now is not exactly RDNA 2, which would be like the Radeon 6000 series. It's not exactly that. It has custom stuff that AMD designed specifically for Sony. And so this PS5 Pro is apparently going to be using RDNA 3 or the existing GPUs from AMD as the baseline, but it's going to have RDNA 4 improvements or like advanced ray tracing improvements. So the rumor is that the ray tracing performance on this PS5 Pro will be double the existing PS5. But even so, I mean, this is more of a burn, but like, even that is like 3 steps behind NVIDIA.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that is true.
But it's going to be running like a beefier GPU with like more cores or compute units is how AMD kind of like measure it. And it's going to be 56 or 60, up to 60 compute units compared to like, I think like 28 or 30 in the or 32, I think, in the existing PS5. But the only thing is that it's like based on the specs, and it's going to use a lot more power, and they're going to have to change the cooling on the PS5 Pro or do something, or it'll have to have
already massive.
Yeah. So they're going to have to like beef up the cooling on it, but it's looking at about 50 to 60% faster than the regular PS5, and I don't even know if it's actually required. It'll be kind of cool, especially for GTA 6 if GTA 6 is going to launch.
Well, if I can run 4K 120 on the PS5 Pro,
no, like
that would be crazy. If it's 50 to 60% faster, I should be getting close to that. I'll be getting close to 100 FPS.
The architecture or the GPU side of it is equivalent, based on what I'm seeing here, is basically equivalent to a 7800 XT, which is the current mid-range GPU, or like a 4070.
Okay. So more like
which is
4K 80.
It's a 1440p, like 100 FPS, sort of like
Oh,
GPU.
okay.
So yes, there'll be 4K 60, but like even so, like I don't think they should do like native. Like this whole idea of like native is like there's no reason to push native 4K 120 on these consoles because they're not going to be able to handle it. Like it's
I'd
not going
like
to run
it,
8K. Like the PS5 still has 8K on the box. It's not
Yeah.
running games in 8K. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
You can't
it's
even
not.
like 4090 like is not an 8K GPU.
There isn't an 8K card.
No,
There isn't one.
the 4090 is a true 4K card because you can run games at 4K triple frame rate, right? Like
Yeah.
4K 140 FPS. That's a true 4K card, but that's a 440 50 watt card, and it's the size of a console in and of itself.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that out of a PS5 Pro. So I think the expectation is that it'll be able to hit 4K 60 with upscaling a lot better. They may even integrate AI hardware from AMD side that they're now launching in their new Ryzens. It may integrate some of that. It may integrate their version of frame generation, FSR3, for people that want to push 4K 120 on their latest 4K TVs. I mean, I'm just trying to be realistic. Like, obviously, when these specs come out, people are expecting the world. They're going to expect that it's going to be run 4K 120 with insane levels of ray tracing. This is not a PlayStation 6, right? This is a mid-gen refresh.
Yeah.
Better node, slightly better architecture, but the CPU is the same, just overclocked. So you're going to be looking at... I mean, my whole thing is that like the PS5 looks really good now. Like games on PS5 still look good. If you played Spider-Man 2, looks amazing.
Ratchet and
right?
Clank.
What you saw of like GTA 6 trailer, that's what it's going to look like on the regular PS5. Like that's not just PS5 Pro only. It's going to look like that. It'll just be like I don't think there's as much appetite for a PS5 Pro as there was a PS4 Pro because that came at a time, like I said, when 4K TVs blew up, right?
Yeah, everyone was moving to them.
Like it happened so quickly. Like 4K TVs hit the scene, and then within a couple of years, you could barely find a 1080p Full HD TV, as in a flagship model, right, or a big screen model.
True, yeah.
Now they're all 4K, so there was a necessity for them to hit that. But there isn't now. Like people aren't. I mean, there are 8K TVs, but this is like there's not 8K gaming isn't a thing really. So, I don't know. Like, it's exciting. I mean, new hardware is always exciting, and I would love to go hands on with a PS5 Pro. But it's like crazy that it's actually coming so soon to me. I don't know. How do you feel about PS5 Pro?
It feels, I don't know, really. It kind of feels like the right time, I suppose, because I'm just thinking selfishly that I want to be playing GTA 6 the best. I mean, obviously I'm going to be playing on PC, but just for all of those console gamers out there that want to be playing that game at the best possible time, if this is true, kind of lines up perfectly. That's nice. You could probably pick up a PS5 Pro with the new Grand Theft Auto. That sounds advantageous to everybody involved. The launch of the PS5 was hindered by COVID. Couldn't really get it anywhere So
that's what it feels like, where it's still early in the generation, even though it came out in 2020.
Yeah,
like it'll be 4 years by the time this launches.
Yeah, well, we're halfway through the cycle.
Yeah, that sounds like halfway through, like to the date almost, so to speak. But it doesn't feel that way because it took like 2 years before anybody could buy a PlayStation 5.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't get it. And because it was hard to obtain, at least in Australia.
Oh, dude, impossible.
It was impossible, and the aftermarket sales on them were just ridiculous. But I didn't get one because I couldn't find one. And then 2 years went by, and I just went, well, I only need to wait another year and a bit, maybe 2 years for the PS5 Pro, and now we're here. So
that's true. Yeah,
I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I suppose it lines up. And GTA 6, it's like, okay, release it because I'll buy it. I don't have a PS5.
Would you buy a PS5 just for GTA 6?
I'd buy a PS5 Pro so PS5 Pro, knowing that that GTA 6 is optimized to look 100%,
better
100%
on this.
And then I can play all of the old Spider-Man, all of the old and new Spider-Man games, The Last of Us, and all of that.
God of War and okay. Maybe you've sold me on this PS5 Pro.
That's why. that's why I've been saving it. All of my mates are most of them are console gamers. They're like, have you played this? Have you played that? I'm like, it's all exclusives. I'm like, I'll wait, and they're like, why don't you get a PS5? And when you get a PS5, I'm like, well, we're already there. Wait, like PS5 Pro's around the corner, and it's going to be infinitely better. But yeah, we've been running long. This is a long one. We got to wrap up here. Thank you very much for listening. Please go like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the news. Links in the description below. We'll be back next week with another jam-packed week of news. And
is next week going to be our Christmas episode?
It might be.
I think before break.
It might
probably be the last episode.
We should wear a hat.
That'll be the last one before that'll be the last one for the year. Yeah. Next week.
Oh wow.
All right. So next week, Christmas, go buy a Christmas hat. I'll wear a Christmas jumper or something. Christmas shirt.
I'll wear a red shirt. Something like that. I'll wear a beard. I'll grow my beard out. All right. Do you have anything to sign this one off with?
No.
All good. All right. Thank you very much for listening. We'll catch you next week. See ya.
Bye.